Hey, what's groovy? So this is a video I have been promising you guys for a while. I have been living in my van full time for 1 year and 3 months. I asked you to send me in any questions that you might have about my van life experience, what I've learnt so far, things I would do differently, things that are going to change, and whatever else you guys want to know. I did promise this as a live stream, and unfortunately I've been struggling to do so because getting good enough internet all the time to be able to live stream is difficult for me. I have a dongle with an eSIM inside, but depending on where you're parked, don't always get signal. So a question for you before I jump into your questions: what do you guys do for internet? I know you can get satellite internet, I know you can get the built-in routers. What works best for you? I also find the best internet I get is in cities, which is really noisy and not the best places to film. So yeah, a genuine question to get that resolved so that I can do live streams in the future. So I've written down your questions. First question I got: what is one of the things you wish was made easier for van lifers? I have not had the joy of travelling abroad as of yet, but in the UK, one of the hardest things here for van lifers is parking. There are so many restrictions put in place in the UK. Height barriers, no overnight sleeping, camping, no camper vans or motorhomes after say 10 PM until 8 or 9 AM the next morning. Not only that, if you do find a place to park, majority of the times it can be expensive. You're talking at least £10 a night. I know there is still a lot of park-ups out there, but on a day-to-day basis, finding places to park is a challenge, and I just wish here in the UK there wasn't so many rules and regulations. A great app is Park for the Night. I know a lot of you guys know about that already. The trouble with that is these spots are getting so populated because they are now shared on this app, which is brilliant for people that are starting out or struggling and in the moment. I do love that it's accessible to people and not everyone is so secretive about it. I do think that people should be helping and giving advice and, you know, places to park for those that need it. But then with that, you're not always guaranteed a spot because they're common knowledge to everybody. So it's swings and roundabouts, but yeah, that is probably the one thing I wish was made easier here. Do you have any plans to travel outside of the country? Yes, I would absolutely love to get abroad. I want to drive through Spain and France. I feel like that is kind of like the rite of passage with van lifers, is to do that Euro trip. But yeah, I want to see as many places and experience as many cultures as possible. Since about the age of 16, it has been my dream to go travelling. Unfortunately, I was never in a position to be able to do so, which is also one of the reasons that encouraged me to do van life, is to be able to take your home anywhere. You don't have to worry about a house. Travelling becomes a lot more accessible when your home is on wheels. But yeah, I do have plans to travel to a different country. Several, many, them all. Next question: would you buy a motorhome again? If you don't know, I currently live in my 30-year-old Talbot Express, and the answer to that question is no. I wouldn't buy a motorhome. At the time, it was ideal to purchase a motorhome. I renovated this entirely with my dad, and we swapped and changed a lot of things. But you basically already have the shell. The sofa was already here, we modified that. At the kitchen, we modified that. The bathroom, modified that. It made the process of moving into a van a lot quicker. When building this van, we were also on a time limit, so the motorhome worked really well in that aspect because, like I said, I kind of got the basis already there. My parents also moved into a van full time at the same time as I did, so we just left the house life behind us all. They have a channel if you want to check that out too. So I would say that buying a motorhome was the right decision for me as my first van. Well, actually, it's not my first van. I did do a summer in the micro camper, but my first van full time with nowhere to go back to. It had to be right. So this was the right decision. But no, I would not buy a motorhome again for my next build. This wasn't the next question, but it's related. Would you ever upgrade to a newer motorhome? And the answer to that is no. No disrespect to anyone that is in a new motorhome, but personally, I'm not a big fan. They're very modern. They remind me a little bit of like aeroplane vibes. I love the old vans. I love that retro vibe anyway, so that's just a personal preference. But also, you can't really modify these new vans like you can with older builds. It's all built from wood. You can't really be drilling in and swapping and changing the layout in those vans. So what you buy is what you get. I like to add a bit of personal touch, so no, I wouldn't upgrade to a new one, and they're so expensive. What are the biggest struggles about living in a van winter? Specifically winter, I would say the power. Obviously, if you live in a van, you're mostly going to be running off solar. Here in the UK, the winter absolutely sucks. It really does. I have recently just upgraded my solar to make my life a little bit easier, and I plan to get a bigger leisure battery also. My parents got me an EcoFlow for Christmas last year, which was an absolute lifesaver. If you can, I would recommend getting something like that if you don't have a big battery or lots of solar and you plan on upgrading that later. It is a huge backup. I did struggle charging the EcoFlow. I had to go to coffee shops in stealth mode. I was a bit scared I was going to get in trouble. I did coffee shops a lot, get our Weatherspoons as well. But I was doing that like 4 times a week. But power is important. There's lots of times where I didn't have any power. I was sat in the cold. It was difficult, I'm not gonna lie. If you rely on campsites a lot, bear in mind in the winter lots of them are closed. You'll struggle to find a campsite open between November and March. The coldest months. But other than that, I don't think it's actually much different to living in a house. If you've got a diesel heater, you're going to be absolutely fine. You'll be warm and toasty. I would say if you're doing a build, make sure it is well insulated. I'm in a motorhome and these aren't particularly designed for winter. There's lots of air vents, little insulation. Doesn't mean you can't insulate it yourself. When we renovated this, we sort of didn't know what to expect, but I am doing some modifications and I will be doing a winter upgrade video in a video coming soon as well, so keep an eye out for that. Is it difficult driving a big van? From a woman. You know what? I actually find driving this van way easier than a car. You've got so much better vision. I hate driving a car now. My mum sometimes lends me hers and I'm like, I just can't see anything. I'm so low and little. No, you soon get used to it. And I'm saying that like all cocksure. When I first drove this, I was terrified. I picked this up in January. It was snowing. It was about 2 hours away. It was scary. But honestly, like anything, you get used to it so quickly. And I want to get something bigger eventually. And I'm not worried. I'm excited to drive something bigger. So no, take it easy. You're not in a car. Be sensible. And yeah, you will love it. Where do you find places to sleep? This is something I can also make a video on if you're interested. But a quick brief, I mentioned about Park for the Night app. There is other apps also. You can get the Britstop app where you can do pub stops, stay in a pub, buy a drink, dinner, stay in their car park. But mostly I would look on Google Maps and on the satellite view. And also when you're driving around, if you see a spot, pin it on your maps. Remember it for later because you never know what's going to come in handy. But yeah, Google Maps, satellite view is probably your best friend. And I would just say don't overthink it. but also don't be too blasé about it. If you feel uncomfortable, just go and find somewhere else. It's not worth the risk. Listen to your gut. And I hear lots of people saying that, but it is true. There's times where I've packed up and I'm not sure, so you move on. But yeah, if it's for one night, you'll probably be okay. I try not to stay anywhere for more than one night anyway. But yeah, don't overcomplicate it. There will always be a spot with your name on it. Have you noticed more financial freedom? No, I haven't. But bear in mind, my situation was a lot different to other people that move into vans. I was living with my parents, and I was very, very lucky and fortunate that I have two incredible parents that have always supported my dreams. So I left my full-time job way before I moved into a van to pursue music. I became a full-time busker. I was live streaming on Twitch, and I was on the hunt for gigs. I wasn't bringing in a lot of money, or should I say not bringing in a lot of money, and I wasn't too sure how that was going to go moving into a van, but it does come with its expenses. So for me personally, I haven't noticed a difference. It's actually been a lot harder. So that question is kind of relative to who you're asking it to. I know lots of people give up renting or sell their house, or have a secure job with a secure wage. That would have helped. For me, no. One piece of advice you would give to anyone considering van life: prepare. Preparation is key. No, honestly, the piece of advice I'd give you is to go and chase that dream, because if you're feeling stuck in a rut, like you're not experienced life, you go to work, then you come home to a house you barely use, then yeah, I'd say make it happen. At the end of the day, you don't really have anything to lose, only everything to gain. You don't have to do it forever. Just because you make the decision to give it a go, you're not failing if you decide it's not for you. But at the same time, you might think this is brilliant, why didn't I do it sooner? So yeah, I'd say go for it, make it happen. Also be prepared. Was van life what you expected? Not in the slightest, to be honest. There are so many accounts out there, like on Instagram for example, that glorify the whole thing. It's not that cute. Like anything, it comes with its positives and its negatives, but most of the part, you don't get that beautiful scenic park up, living the dream, travelling. You know, it's not like that. You're, especially in the UK, in crappy weather for the best part of the year. You got toilets to empty, you got to source water, you've got to get power. There's a lot of stress that comes with living in a van, but there's also a lot of freedom. So once you weigh them up, obviously it's personal preference, but for me the freedom outweighs the stress. There's lots of things that you take for granted when you're in a house and you don't realise until you move into a van. Having unlimited supply of water, gas, electricity, you don't just have all the necessities at your fingertips. When you live in a house, you are in arrears. When you live in a van, you've got upfront everything and be able to get it there and then. For me, there's times where I have sat here with no water, gas, power, I'm in the dark, it's cold, I'm hungry. Of course that does come alongside my job, but if you're just, that could just happen to you at any point if you're unable to source what you need. It is not glamorous 24/7. Not that I totally expected it to be, but I thought I would have a lot more of that than I actually have. Obviously most people will only share the good parts, so do take everything you see online with a pinch of salt and know that it is real life. Just because you're doing van life, things go wrong, things don't always go to plan, and there's bumps on the road. It's a bumpy road. Okay, this is my last question. What is the best part about van life? Oh, I feel like I've proper moaned during this video. There are so many good parts. I love having my home with me 24/7. I don't know how I survived. Like, just leaving the house, going somewhere all day, and not forgetting anything, just taking a bag with you. Like, how did I survive? I couldn't go back to that. I couldn't. I love just having everything with me all the time. If I go somewhere, I can come back, I can go to the toilet, I can change my outfit, I can get a snack. If I don't want to leave, I don't have to leave, because my home is with me and I can just go to bed whenever I please. Like, whenever. So good. Also, I know everybody does say this about van life and what it's like, but there is so much freedom in living in a van and being off grid, not being tied down to one place, just getting away when you want to. I know living this lifestyle, I am on the right track. I am so much happier. I've got my own space and I own this. I own my home. I feel like next year when I do this video, I'll probably have a lot of different answers. But yeah, that is my 1 year living in a van experience. I hope I answered these questions well. If you've got anything else for me, then do let me know. And if you want to see another video like this, then of course I film that for you. But until then, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and stay groovy. Bye.